Faith was never meant for something you have to keep together. Hi everyone, welcome back to Heal and Bloom. For a long time, I thought being tired in my faith meant that I wasn't doing enough, praying enough, trusting enough, or getting it right enough. But what I eventually realized was that my faith had slowly turned into performance, and trying to perform for God will always leave you exhausted. Today, I want to talk to you about why perfectionism can drain your faith and what God actually wants from you instead. Let's begin. Perfectionism in faith rarely starts as pride. It usually starts as protection. Somewhere along the way, many of us learned that love felt conditional. So we began to believe that closeness with God had to be earned. We start paying attention to what we're doing wrong, and whether we're measuring up spiritually. Faith quietly shifts from relationship to responsibility, from being a place of rest to something we feel responsible to maintain. When I'm upset or frustrated, I don't always handle it well, and I let my emotions get the best of me. I end up swearing or saying things I regret later. After I calm down or apologize, I feel bad that I messed up because scripture tells us numerous times not to curse and to have self-control. But scripture reminds us that God never asked for perfection. Micah 6:8 says, "No, O people, the Lord has told you what is good, and this is what he requires of you, to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." This verse shows us that God desires humility, mercy, and a walk with him, not flawless performance. When striving for perfection is rooted in fear, fear of falling short, fear of disappointing God, it begins to shape our faith. But scripture gives us an important way to discern this in 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. This means when fear is driving your faith, love is no longer at the center. God's voice does not rush us, it does not pressure us, and it does not punish us for being human. God's love creates safety, not anxiety. So if God is not after performance, what is he after? God's not looking for a flawless version of you. He's not keeping track of how consistent you are or how well you perform spiritually. He's looking at your heart, the real one, not the polished one. Scripture tells us plainly in 1 Samuel 16:7, "But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him." The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. God values honesty more than effort, presence more than productivity, and trust more than control. For a long time, I thought being faithful meant holding it together, to not swear, and to control my emotions all the time. But what I'm learning is that God does his deepest work when we stop trying to manage how we appear and start being honest about where we are. God is not asking if you're doing enough. He's asking if you're willing to be honest, present, and dependent on him. When faith is rooted in relationships instead of performance, it no longer feels like something we have to maintain. It becomes a place we're allowed to return to again and again, even when we're tired, unsure, or still healing. Healing from perfectionism doesn't mean you stop caring about your faith. It means you stop using effort as a measure of worth. Psalm 51:17 says, "The sacrifice you desire is a broken spirit. You will not reject a broken and repentant heart, O God." This basically reminds us that God does not despise a broken heart. And 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, "Each time he said, 'My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness.' So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through me." This verse shows us that grace meets us in weakness, not perfection. When I sin or do something unrighteous, like judge people, curse, or gossip, I feel really bad. In my heart, I know it's wrong, so I ask for grace and forgiveness so that I can let go of the guilt. What I'm discovering is that grace does not remove the desire to grow. It removes the fear that we have to get it right all the time in order to be loved. Healing looks like allowing yourself to pause, to breathe, to show up imperfectly, and trust that God is still here and still loves you. And when faith is rooted in grace instead of pressure, it slowly becomes a place of safety again. If this message resonates with you, I hope it gave you some clarity or relief. Faith was never meant to feel like something you have to keep together. And when faith becomes about performance, it drains us. And when it's rooted in trust, it becomes a place that we can return to again and again. This week, just notice when you feel the need to push or prove yourself to God. Let those moments remind you to slow down instead of striving. Jesus tells us he is gentle and humble in heart, and with him we will find rest for our souls. Till next time, please take care, and remember that you don't have to perform to be loved. Bye.